We are recording.
Here. Okay, perfect. Alder Stoyer, we can open up the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to Protection and Policy for December 7th, 2020. We will have a roll call. Alder Stoyer, I am here. Alder Vanderleest, you're muted, but I believe he's here.
Can you hear me now, Mark?
Yes,
Okay.
you're
thank you.
here. And then Alder Stevens.
Here.
Okay, we have quorum. Alder LaFave, other meeting that she's at, and she won't be able to make it. She sends her regards. So we do have a quorum. So,
Approval.
okay, approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Vanderleest, seconded by Stevens. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, that passes unanimously.
And now we have approval of the minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. The first one is from November 16th.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Well, you guys are hot today. Okay, Vanderleest, seconded by Stevens. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously.
And then another set of minutes from the October 8th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Well, we have November 19th as well. Should we do
Yes,
separate?
Yeah, so it's one agenda item, so we can do the 8th and the 19th. The
Okay.
16th was the regular meeting, and the 8th and the 19th were the
Right.
two special meetings.
All right, so we have a motion by Stevens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by
Vanderleest.
Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously.
All right, we are on to item number 1 in regular business.
On consideration with possible action on an application for an available Class B combination license for Scallywags High Cotton Club Limited at 217 North Washington Street with a licensed premises description, all levels of address, 2 floors for business service, basement level beer cooler, previously licensed as Fox Heights LLC during the 2019-2020 license year. Staff.
Yes, staff has no objections. This is in the downtown moratorium, but the application is described as a restaurant, so it's going to meet the exception in the resolution for the moratorium. Like the item said, this was the old Fox Heights business that did not renew for the new year, so it was an available license for this location.
Okay, and please.
Please concur with law.
Okay, I had a chance to talk to Mr. Wetruba on this, and it sounds like it's going to be a good fit. So I appreciate the input with that. Committee, do we have a motion here?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Stevens. Do we have a second?
Second by Vanderleest.
Second by Vanderleest. Okay, Alder, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That passes unanimously. And for the people listening in, this goes to City Council on December 15th for final approval at 6 o'clock. There should be no problem, but there's always a little bit of an issue. But you know, we generally go pretty well with this. So congratulations and good luck. Okay.
All right, item number 2.
Number 2, consideration with possible action on an appeal by Jennifer Sievert regarding the denial of her operator's license. Staff.
Yes, staff recommends denial of this appeal on the basis that the applicant is a habitual law offender for offenses that substantially relate.
Police.
Please concur.
Okay. Attorney Bungert, is there a chance, because I can't bring that up on my screen, is there a way to show things on the screen?
What would you like to see?
Well, just, the report on the various violations. Or is that?
Oh, that I wouldn't, because we provide that as part of the
Okay.
confidential package.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. I peeked at it before. I just don't have it in front of me right now.
Okay.
All right, is is Lindsay here?
Or Jennifer.
Or Jennifer, I'm
Jennifer.
sorry. Lindsay, you are here. Hi, Lindsay.
We have somebody.
All right.
Chris,
I
I don't
would-
know if that
Yeah, go
person
ahead.
in.
What's Celestine?
We have somebody, oh, they just went off. Chris's iPad. No, so we do not have either, we do not have Jennifer here,
Okay.
but I can,
Well, until that happens, I'll go to the committee. Have you, Alder Stevens, Alder Vanderleest, did you have a chance to look at this? Do you have any specific questions until we can possibly open the floor?
I just want to say one thing, Mark. I
Yes.
talked to a young lady today that said she didn't have all of her information.
Right, that's another agenda item, but I already emailed it to Attorney Bungert. So we'll discuss that. That's another issue. So we will discuss that at another time. But thank you for
But
that.
one other thing, if Jennifer's not here to represent herself, I think that we should just, make it a hold until our next meeting. Otherwise, she's not going to have much of a chance. I think we should,
Well,
I don't know
right,
if you want
well,
to do that or not, but
I guess what we could do is we can continue with the agenda, and if she does happen to show up before the meeting's over, we could bring her back in. Is that okay, Attorney Bungert?
That's fine.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, then why don't we move on? We'll hold on that until the meeting. Do we need a motion on that? Do we need,
We,
or just
we can
hold?
do a motion. We can just hold it to the end since we're not really taking an.
Okay, we're not taking action on it. Okay, we'll just hold it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine. We will hold it then. So number 3, are we ready?
1 second. All right, number 3.
Okay, number 3. Consideration with possible action on a request by Alder Chris Weary to review with possible action or 8.16, practice of massage or bodywork therapy requiring state license and any other related ordinance. A revised ordinance.
Okay, I'll let them know. Okay, all right. Okay.
A revised ordinance is needed to combat actual and potential escort service and prostitution masquerading as massage business, previously discussed at the November 16th Protection and Policy Committee meeting. Okay, I'll go to staff first. We can, Alder Weary cannot make the meeting today. So his request was to, Alder Dorff, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to let you guys know that Jennifer was trying to get into the meeting and is in the meeting. And just letting you know that she is in there. Okay.
Okay, all right.
We can, Alder, we can continue with this item and then pick up that,
All right.
we can pick number 2
Okay.
after the resolution.
All right, thank you, Barb. So Alder Weary called me or emailed me and said that he's busy tonight, so he couldn't make the meeting, but he said that he would like to have it referred back to staff. I still would like to have some input either from the alders and from our police detective and lieutenant on this issue as well. And if Leo Weicker is here as well, I'd like, we open the floor and we can have her speak as well. So I guess what I would do, it has been an issue that's been going on for a number of years. I mean, it's not an issue that will go away anytime soon, but I think the hope is that we can contain and try to get a handle on this situation. It's been a problem where some of these businesses have cropped up in different areas of the city, and they have a tendency not to always be licensed, or either the business or the people that work there. And I think that's a big problem, and it's causing some issue not only for the police and such, but also for businesses that are neighbors of these establishments. So with that being said, I would like to, let's see, Leah, are you here? Are you there? I would make them.
Leah is not here.
This
am.
says,
Yep.
I think she is. This
I
is
am.
MABA Director.
Oh, Mavager, oh my goodness. So sorry.
Motion to open the floor, Mark.
You got it. Okay, we got a motion. Second. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Stevens. All in favor, please say aye.
All right.
Aye. All opposed. All right, Leah, we open the floor and then we'll incorporate the police on this as well and whatever you've been working on. I know this has been a big issue for you, and I've worked with you a bit on this, and I know that we're looking at this as well as some of the other alders. So I would ask you to just briefly talk a little bit about the situation that you see right now, and sadly, all the time that you're spending on it rather than actually working on the business of the bid, which I think is more important, but I think it's important. So if you would, could you do that?
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate you looking into this. Part of being a business improvement district, the reason we were created is because they tend to fall into blighted areas. Spas and check cashing places are notorious for locating in those places. And I think it's definitely in the bid's best interest to address the fact that they are not doing legal business. And the spas that are doing legal business are hurting because of it. So I did meet with Officer Lenz today, and his partner was here as well. And we do agree with Alder Weary's suggestion to delay this a bit until we can find more information about different ways that we can enforce the fact that they need to have a license to conduct massage.
Right, and I know you've been looking at other communities, what they've done, doing a little research, and which I appreciate, and you're willing to share that. So I think, we're on the right track as far as working on this issue. Still a little bit more to go. I don't know if you have anything else to add. Otherwise, I would just have Lieutenant or Detective chime in a little bit as well.
I would appreciate if the Detective Pakala, I believe is how you say your name, would speak to that, because I know the legal department didn't necessarily want my opinion. They would prefer it coming from the police directly.
Right. Okay. Lieutenant, you got a minute? I guess, I know you've been dealing in some of the issues that have gone on with human trafficking and some of the various aspects of society that are, kind of tough to deal with at times. But, I guess that's part of the concern with some of these places, that they kind of crop up and they're kind of a front for different things. And it's a combination of just saying, we're just not very happy of having these places around. We would really like them not to be in Green Bay as best as we can do. And I realize the police are working on this, and I know there are certain, your hands are tied a little bit. You got state regulations and things like that. So with that being said, I don't know if you could just lend a little bit to that.
Well,
or Lieutenant.
The ordinance, I guess it's a good start. I would like to see more in it. Kind of like, and I know Detective Pakla could expound on this, kind of like what we do with our bars, where there's like a stipulation type agreement. That could help us out a lot, because essentially right now, and we just did a license check on all the establishments last week. If we go in there and they have a license, pretty much all we could do them is cite them for not having a licensed person on there, and that is it. So I do think some more could be added to the ordinance. I know there's some municipalities in the state that have some pretty solid ones. So I would defer to Detective Pakla. He could probably fill you guys in better on that.
Okay. Detective, do you have a minute? Could you lend a little bit? Okay,
Sure,
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for some clarity here on what we're dealing with or what's going on here, the spas themselves, from what I find, and I've monitored several of them, although Leah is right, they pop up very randomly. And it's basically the same group of people who's starting these businesses. I can tell you that having sit and monitored some of the spas that we consider to be of a more riskier nature, the traffic is relatively low that's going in. The problem is the appearance that they have with the curtains drawn, the low lighting, operating at different hours. And also there's so much advertisement out about human trafficking that I think that becomes the hot topic for it. I think Lieutenant Mahoney, when he sends his officers in there to do licensing checks, you're going to find that a lot of the females working there are from New York City. They're from China. They're out of the area. Most of them, almost all of them are out of the area. So I think if we need to look at these, we need to look at them from the two angles. One is the licensing, which is in the ordinance, which I think is great. But the other thing is I sent a business plan that Milwaukee uses to Attorney Mather. I think a business plan is where we really control this problem from growing, and maybe dissuade poor businesses from being in the area here. And the business plan that Milwaukee has is very I think it's strict, but I think it's able to be, if it's a true business, they'll work within those guidelines.
Right. Well, I know that, we're all working on this. It just seems a little frustrating that you would think if you kind of do some work on it and try to stop one or two establishments, whatever, it seems like it crops up again. So, I won't go into a whole lot of detail now. I think there's more work done on this. So the police, the law department, the various alders, anybody who cares to add to the fabric here, I think we could come up with something really good. Attorney Mather, were you going to be involved in this, or who would be in the law department that would work on this?
Or I wanted to kind of introduce Lindsay so that she could,
Okay.
She did work on this draft. Basically, I'll let her explain, but we do have an ordinance draft in the packet for consideration with respect to changes that she was able to garner from the police department. But I'll let her take it from here and kind of give a little bit more background as to what the parameters are currently with respect to the update and the amendment. And why the draft is what it is right now, and then take in any other input that the committee wishes to see.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Mather.
Thank you. So I know that I have had conversations with both Alder Stoyer and Detective Pakla previously about the fact that since our current massage ordinance had passed, the law had actually changed, and the state essentially put some teeth in it for municipalities to do enforcement on their own. And so that was on kind of our ever-growing list of ordinances to tackle. And so when Alder Weary put this communication in, it seemed like an apt time to really get that turned around. We got it turned around from the PMP meeting where it was referred to me, and then brought it back right away because I know it was commented at least a couple times that this is something that you wanted to address very quickly. And the proposed ordinance, as far as enforcement goes, it goes as far as we can under the state law. It imposes municipal forfeitures for practicing without a license. And that's not just the individual that's performing massage or body work, but it affects the establishment as well. So that's kind of one piece of it. And there was also some parts of our existing ordinance that needed to be cleaned up based on the changes in the law. So that was where this ordinance that's on your agenda tonight, that's where that came from. We knew it was a priority. We wanted to get it turned around to you very quickly. And I wanted to make sure, first and foremost, obviously, that it is in line with state law.
Right.
If what you're looking for is an entirely new licensing process, akin to what Milwaukee has, something like that, that's a much bigger conversation. And that's a much longer process to get that set up and running. That's not just me, that's, you know, conversations with other departments, that's conversations with PD, with inspections, with whomever else would be doing the, you know, making sure that they've met the qualifications for licensing, all of those things. And that so far hasn't been part of what we've been asked to look for. So at this point, this ordinance is, at least in my opinion, if you want more, I don't think that there's any problem with that. But I do think to bring our ordinance in compliance with state law, that even if you want to go further, this ordinance should still be adopted.
Oh, with that being said, so let's say if we adopted that tonight, we could still have the discussion and amend that accordingly in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay. Committee
Because
or?
right now, I'm
No,
sorry.
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I want to just clarify. Right now, when, you know, Lieutenant Mahoney sends people in to check these places out, if nobody has a license, they can close them down, but nobody gets issued a citation because under the state law, we have to have an ordinance in place that says we're going to issue a citation if you don't have the proper licensing by the state. So this ordinance would allow us to not only close it down for not having somebody licensed, but also impose these penalties.
Well, I appreciate all your effort on this. So, you know, with that being said, I mean, I know we were going to discuss it and maybe tweak it a little bit, but I think, you know, committee and other alders, if you want to chime in on this, I think, you know, offhand, I think we should move forward and at least get something on the books, especially with the holidays coming up. It's going to be a busy time. I would like to have something in hand.
I have a question.
Mark,
Yeah, go
one
ahead.
quick question.
No, well, John, Alder Vanderleest, hold on.
No, let John talk first.
Okay, go ahead, Alder Vanderleest.
I was under the impression that they haven't quite come up to the having it completed yet. The ordinance is still in the draft stages. Is that correct or not?
No, the one that's on, the one that's attached to the agenda is the final version of the ordinance as it stands right now.
Okay, thank you very much. I wasn't aware that that it's already, you know, ready to go then. So thank you.
You bet.
Right, and so that's a good point. Alder Stevens?
Yeah, so I just have a question. Correct me if I'm wrong, or how we should move forward. But maybe the detective or lieutenant might know. Are we trying to follow what Milwaukee did?
I was just giving the Milwaukee business plan, not the ordinance, but the business plan as a suggestion. I think the ordinance we have now that we are in line with the state is a good ordinance. But I think if you look at what we do to bars and taverns in Green Bay as far as a business plan, having cameras, lighted parking lots, you know, shades drawn, give a better appearance for the business, that will help, I think, alleviate some of the headaches maybe Leah's experiencing with the businesses in her district. So are we trying to mirror Milwaukee, or I don't know. There's every city has I think a tweaked business plan for what is good for their city. I was just giving an example. I emailed the example to Chief Lieutenant Mahoney, maybe one of the aldermen, the business plan that Milwaukee uses. That's kind of a standard one that we're given at some of our conferences we go to. So that's why I use it. Certainly you don't have to use that at all.
I haven't seen it, so that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and I can certainly send it, or our the attorney can send it out to whoever.
Yes.
Can I add something, Mr. Stoyer?
Yes, go ahead.
Part of the problem is when the inspections are done and it's discovered that they don't have a license, they shut them down. And now they're onto it and they're opening within an hour. So that's.
Somewhere else,
it
somewhere
just-
else.
No, the same business is opening within an hour.
So,
I can
Call
tell
in
you
a
one thing
person
if I
with a
can interrupt
license
here.
to show up.
okay, okay, go ahead, detective. Hold on, Leah, we'll get back to you. Go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
detective.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
One thing I will say, and I'm still trying to kind of figure it out a little bit here, is several of them opened up in Schwabenon. Okay, and they were quick to get out of a Schwabenon and start up in Green Bay. So I guess I don't know the reason for that. It could be because they're easier to blend in with our community, being a little bit bigger city. But I do think if we have some kind of plan, which then our officers can take some enforcement action to close them down and not have them restart that quick, that would work or help at least.
Well, detective, very quickly, do you feel that the ordinance that you see here, it's a little over a page long, and I know some of the ordinance I've seen have been 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, and Leo can attest to that as well. How much do you really need here? Do you feel that the ordinance that you're looking at right now would be effective enough for our police department to utilize right at this time?
I mean, I think it mirrors the state law, so it's fine as long as I think it addresses the forfeitures we can take, the licensing we can take, and now we can issue citations there. I think it's a good ordinance.
Okay,
But
that sounds good.
I don't think the ordinance in itself will address Leah's concerns as far as the appearance that her district is getting by having these pop-up spas. Does that make sense?
It does. Leah, do you have anything follow up on that? I mean, have you looked at the ordinance here, Leah?
I have.
Okay.
I didn't notice a big change, but Lindsay did say that it did enforce the state statute with a penalty, which maybe was missing from that. So I would not be opposed to having you guys adopt this one now, and then we can continue to look at further adding things if this doesn't do the trick.
Yep.
So it's not that they're popping up though, and it's not the image of them. It's most people know when they look at that spa what it is. And if you Google certain phone numbers, you end up with lots of prostitution and stuff. They're blatantly doing this, and we're kind of we need to just address it. I mean, it's against the law what they're doing, and we just have to find a way to make it stop.
Right.
And I don't know if this ordinance will do it. It could help in the sense that now they can penalize them, where perhaps before with the old ordinance, they couldn't penalize them.
Right.
But, to get a citation that you don't have a license, and then they call someone in and that person shows up with a license and they reopen within an hour, that's a lot of wasted police time.
Well, so for these licenses, and I can talk to everybody, I mean, normally for a licensed therapist, isn't it 600 hours of training? That's my understanding. So
That's
if one of
correct.
these people has a license and everybody else doesn't, Leah is saying that a lot of times they show up and they just flash this license like, well, we've got one, but the other people don't. So my feeling is that hopefully the ordinance would address that everybody needs to have a license as well as the business. Lindsay?
And that is in
That's
the state
always been the
statute.
requirement. The state has always required that anybody performing those services has to have a license. It may be that and I don't know, but it may be that they're reopening on the premise that only the licensed person that has now come in is the only one performing the services, and that's why they, and to clarify, when I say services, I'm referring to massage and bodywork services as defined under Wisconsin statutes.
Yeah.
And that for,
Well,
but anyway, my point is, it's always been the law that each person needs to be individually licensed. So, and it's always been the law that you can't employ any individual who is not individually licensed. New about this ordinance is that if you are doing or purporting to do massage or bodywork therapy and you are not licensed, or you're employing somebody to do those and you're not licensed and they're not licensed, you can now be fined. And the penalty can be up to $1,000. So between $1,000 and $1,000.
Mhm.
So that, you know, that could be, that number could change because it's subject to what the number is as established in state law. But I mean, if you're, you know, tacking on $1,000 fine on the business every single time that this happens, and it's happening frequently, eventually it's not going to keep happening, or they're going to, you know, have so many outstanding, they're going to have judgments against them.
So Lindsay, is that fine if it's $1,000? Is that anything that the committee works on, or is that through the municipal court? Who actually sets that up?
So the way that it is worded in the statute is that it can be anywhere.
Who's, hold on a second. Somebody, can we mute a few people? I'm having a hard time hearing. Somebody's rustling a lot of papers. That's not you, Lindsay.
Don't think so.
No,
I don't have any papers.
no, it's not.
I'm going to mute everybody, and then Lindsay, you can unmute yourself, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Thank you. So the amount that's listed in the ordinance is between $1,000 and $1,000. And I believe, and either of the PD representatives can correct me if I'm wrong, but the max amount of the forfeiture is what will appear on the citation. And then during the conversations with the with our city prosecutor during pre-trials, that number might get negotiated or whatever, as it normally would in municipal court. But that would be the usually up to the discretion of either the municipal attorney or the municipal judge. You're still muted, Alder.
Okay, lieutenant or detective, is that?
No,
I mean,
that's close to accurate. What happens is there's a fine in the citation that we issue. We'll also add on the court costs. So say the fine is $1,000. The citation could be, say, around $1,250 because it automatically puts on the court costs. But the actual quote fine would only be $1,000. But the ticket we write out would have a higher dollar amount on it.
Okay, but you said there's some negotiation sometimes at court. I mean, if do the police put the number down, the amount on the citation, or is that something that's done at the court?
It's done when the citation is issued. I'll give an example. The lewd and lascivious citation that we write to people, I believe is right around $1,300. We will cite the person for that. That includes all the court costs. And then Rachel, our city attorney, after the citation is issued, part of the plea bargaining or the bargaining, they, depending on our reports, if we say the person was cooperative or non-cooperative, there is negotiation that goes back and forth where Rachel, the city attorney that handles all of our prosecution of muni sites, might go to the person and say, hey, if I lower the ticket down to $500 plus court costs, would you agree to plead guilty? So that's the negotiation that Lindsay is talking.
Okay, all right, okay, I understand. All right, well, I think we touched on a lot of topics. My gut feeling is that it would be nice to put something on the books, you know, now that Lindsay, you worked on this, and then, like I said, we can always revisit it and see how it's going. I would appreciate the police department also weighing in on this. Maybe, I don't know if they could, as a point of information, you know, how it's going. It could be part of a report each meeting or once a month. I'm just thinking out loud. What do you think, Lieutenant?
In terms of checking the cause?
Activity, you know, the activity, or, you know, if we're, I'm not asking you to tip anybody off like, oh, yeah, we're really on this. I know people know that the city is really looking at this hard. And I'm just looking at a way to keep us informed as to how the ordinance is and is it working well enough?
Yeah, I could definitely do that. I could tell you, this isn't a crime where we have victims where they're calling us. So
Okay.
the only time that we really produce a report is every couple of months. We're getting more and more complaints
Okay.
from other businesses. So then we will do our spot check. But it's not the type situation where someone got ripped off or someone was robbed or a fraud was committed against them. We very rarely, if at all, have someone calling in complaining about that they were a victim of a crime at these places.
Well, I think one of the issues, and Leah wired up a few times, is that some of these places pop up right away. So it would be nice to at least have some kind of handle on it that, maybe I'm asking too much on this, but maybe it could be a quarterly thing. And, I mean, a lot of times it's complaint driven, things, people complain about it. And if they don't report it, it's not going to happen. So anyway.
Correct. I could definitely have the community police officers. We could do quarterly checks on them, and I could get back to you. Like Detective Pakla and Attorney Mather said, I think the ordinance is good as it brings us in line with state law. Are there things that I think that we could work on to improve? Like I said, more the business plan. So besides actually violating the massage ordinance, it could be a violation of stipulations or their business plan. It's very successful with the taverns and the bars in Green Bay, that besides them having their license and could be cited for serving an underage person, we also then have that authority or jurisdiction to cite them for violating the business plan. So I do think that's something we could work on, hopefully in the near future. But yes, to get this ordinance up and going, I think would be a good thing.
All right. Well, I appreciate all your comments. Alder Stevens.
Yeah, my comment was, I'm okay with the ordinance the way it is, but I think we definitely need to be looking at this business plan. I do like how the bars have to follow it, so.
Right. I agree. I appreciate all the work on this. So I agree. Any other discussion? Otherwise, committee?
Motion to close the floor, Mark?
Yeah, let's do that first. Motion to close the floor by Alder Vanderleest. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Stevens. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, committee.
So quick question. So can we do a direction on a business plan tonight for staff?
Yeah,
I think,
Alder Mather.
Attorney Bungert can correct me if I'm wrong. My suggestion would be that you move to approve the ordinance and refer the issue of a business license back to staff. I think we can do that in one motion, but I don't know. I'll let Joanne be the decider of that one.
Yep, and we can do that all in one motion. So essentially it would be to approve this item and to approve the ordinance as presented by staff, and to revert to staff the additional issue of developing a licensing.
That would be my motion.
All right. Alder Stevens, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you for all your hard work on this. Thank you, Detective. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Lindsay. And we will continue on, but I'm glad we have something here that we can at least start with. And, we all want to do well by this. So thank you again for all the help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are back to item number 2.
Okay. All right, number 2 is consideration with possible action on an appeal by Jennifer Siebert regarding the denial of her operator's license, and we can do it again. Staff, I think you denied initially.
Yes. Our recommendation is to deny on the basis that the applicant is a habitual law offender for offenses that substantially relate.
Okay, and police, you concur?
Correct, please concur.
Okay. All right, and I'm having a hard time. I'd really like to get into civic clerk so I could see this. But Alder Stevens or Alder Vanderleest, have you had an opportunity to look at this? And if not, I mean, we're gonna open the floor too in a minute.
Okay.
I looked at it, but we can open the floor.
Yeah, okay, motion to open the floor by Stevens. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vanderleest. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the floor is now open. So Jennifer, are you there? Jennifer?
You're unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. All right. Hello, Jennifer.
Please state your name and address for the committee
Jennifer Siebert.
and your address, please.
What's that?
And your address, please.
29 Gabbert Field Court, Suamico, Wisconsin, 54173.
Okay. All right. Jennifer, you have the floor. I know you're appealing this, and our law department and police department have denied it on some things as far as your record, and I would like you to speak on your behalf and let us know what you've done and who is supporting you and such. Go ahead.
I bartend at Gilligan's, which is in Howard. I have my bartender's license there. I've been there for 17 years. I have a new owner, Chris Knutson and Penny. They're both here, and they own Rock Billy's in Green Bay, and I bartend there on Thursdays. And that's what I didn't get licensed for. I have a 13-year-old. I'm a single mother. I can't drink behind the bar. I don't drink. Well, here and there, nothing big. I haven't gotten any trouble. Yes, I have in the past with drinking and driving, but my last one was 10 years ago. We can't drink behind the bar at either bar for the last over a year. I don't really know what to say. I love what I do. I need income to raise my kid, and yeah.
Okay. Have you had any, your bosses, have you any programs that you took care of, court costs, anything that you can mention that you've taken care of over time?
I've taken care of all of them. Like my fines and things for the drinking and driving. What do you mean?
Well, anything that, I just want to make sure that you don't have anything outstanding as far as on your record, that you did your restitution and everything like that.
No, I have nothing. My last drinking and driving was 2011. It was Labor Day weekend. Everything was all paid. I have nothing.
Okay. All right. Committee, do you have anything?
Did she say that the current owner's with her at the moment that she'll be working for?
Yeah, both bars. Can you?
Yes. Just state your name and address, and if you could speak on her behalf.
Yeah, Chris Knutson, 709 South Broadway. I own Gilligan's in Howard as well as Rockabilly's here in Green Bay for the past 2 years or so. Jenny's been working for me since I took over Gilligan's. She's amazing, very accountable, have no issues with her, always on time. I do not allow any drinking behind our bars ever from any bartenders. So I've really never seen Jenny drink, but she's been awesome for this year. I have zero complaints whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else? Jennifer to speak on your behalf? Is there anybody else?
My manager at Gilligan's, Vicky's here.
Would you
Okay.
like to talk?
Hi,
Hi there. Just state your name and address for the record.
Vicky Petrowski, 4820 Stella Court, Unit 49, Hobart, 541.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
I've worked with Jenny for the past 9 years. I've never seen her totally drunk or anything. She's very responsible. She's on time. She's my best bartender at the bar. She's my go-to person. She's one under me. She's like my assistant.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Alders, anything? Alder Stevens, Alder Vanderleest?
I'd like
I
to
don't have-
see that Jenny gets another chance. It sounds like she's had almost a 10-year, that she's on the straight path and she's a young mother. I think if, she has to make a livelihood, I think we have to help her try to do that. So
All right.
I support, getting her license back to her.
Okay, let's close the floor first, though.
Okay,
Motion to close the floor.
By Stevens, seconded by Vanderleest, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Alder
So-
Vanderleest, Alder Dorf?
Sure. I know I'm not on this committee, but I'm going to be voting on this. And definitely I looked at the past record, and it's been 10 years, and I understand why police and law recommended not to, because they have to do that. But in this case, I will vote to allow her another chance. And I hope that the committee also will vote that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alder. Alder Stevens?
So say thank you to the two bar owners for speaking on her behalf. That's greatly appreciated. So I would also move forward to approve this.
Okay.
To allow her to have.
Vanderleest, you brought the motion up first, did you?
That's
Or
correct.
Okay, Alder Vanderleest brought the motion to approve. Alder
Then I will
Stevens,
second.
you second that? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That passes unanimously. Congratulations, Jennifer. And this does go to City Council for full approval on December 15th. I don't foresee any problems with this. Alder Dorf points as well. So you got 1/4 of the council here right now. So I think we'll be fine. Congratulations. Good luck. Okay.
All right, item number 4.
Number 4, for consideration and possible action on a request by Alder Johnson to extend the temporary expansion of licensed premises through December 31st, 2021. Looks like Alder Johnson is here. Thank you for your patience. Alder Johnson?
Thank you. So I submitted this request after talking with Attorney Bungert. And I know that this is something that they had been talking about and considering as well. And so it's important, I think, that we get this on the next council agenda for consideration. As many of you know, we passed this through the end of this year to allow for that temporary extension of premise. I think we can all agree that the effects of COVID have not subsided, and I don't anticipate that that would be the case next year either. And so the request before you today is to consider extending this through the end of next year so that it would allow our bars and restaurants to continue to apply for that permit for the temporary extension of their outdoor seating facilities.
Okay. All right. Alder Dorf?
I just want to really praise Alder Johnson for thinking of these businesses. I didn't COVID would still be lasting this long. I wasn't looking that far ahead, and he's really looking out for the small businesses, and I very much support what he's brought up. So thank you, Alder Johnson.
Well, I appreciate that, Alder Dorf, but I'm not going to take all the credit for this. I do want to acknowledge city staff has also been working on it, and it was just good timing that I reached out. And when I talked to Attorney Bungert, she said they were working on it as well. So it's definitely a team effort.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you again, Alder Johnson, for your work on this as well. So, committee.
I also want to thank Alder and staff too.
Okay.
Wait, Alder Sawyer,
Yes.
if law department can chime in just really quickly,
Yes.
we do
Yes, go ahead.
actually have an ordinance for the committee to consider and approve, so this can go to council for first and final reading. It will require a suspension of the rules, but
Okay,
I'm confident that the council will agree to that so that it can be adopted and in place before the end of the year.
okay.
I will defer to Mather, or to Attorney Mather to kind of describe what the change is, but it's essentially a date change. Go ahead, Lynn.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have much to explain about the actual ordinance. Like Joanne said, it's just the date change. I did just want to clarify, when we were drafting this, we put the extension through the end of the license year, which is June 30th. So as it's written right now, the one that's attached to the agenda does not go all the way through 2021. So if that's what the committee and or council wants, that would need to be amended.
Okay.
Yes,
go ahead, Alder.
if I could comment, I personally would like to see it through the end of next year. And part of the reason I say that is because a lot of times for these businesses, it's a substantial investment, in chairs and tables, staffing schedules, things of that nature, to allow for these temporary seatings. And if I'm not mistaken, those June 30th, and that's before you really get into the busy season for a lot of these places. And I think if you're being, if we're being practical and honest with ourselves, when you start to look at the possible deployment schedule of a vaccine, I think it's being very optimistic to think that people are going to be comfortable and ready to return back to normal by June 30th.
Okay, good point. All right, anybody else? Otherwise, I would ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to amend the date to December 31st, 2021.
Okay, do we have a
And to
second?
approve.
Okay,
Second.
thank you. Second, Alder Stevens, and seconded by Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? That passes. Thanks for all your work on this. So that'll go to council on December 15th. But good job. Good job. Thank you. All right.
Yep, 1 second. All right. And on to item number 5.
Number 5, there he is. Consideration with possible action on a request by Alder Scannell for the city of Green Bay to adopt the following ordinance. The levels of fluoride in the drinking water for the city of Green Bay will be determined by the recommendation of the city's water utility manager and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services, along with the consent of the municipalities the water utility serves. Attorney, did you want to say something first, or I could defer to Alder Scannell?
We can defer to Alder Scannell.
Alder Scannell. Your lips are moving. And I don't hear you. We don't hear you.
He has to turn up his volume, I think.
Not too loud.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully that wasn't a pun you were saying.
No, I had my speakers plugged into my audio plugged into my speakers.
That's fine.
I was listening to music.
You are forgiven.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go ahead. Alder Scannell, go ahead.
All right. I had spoken to legal about this a while back, and I actually don't remember if we talked about an ordinance or a resolution. I think I'd rather an ordinance, but I'll defer to legal as to the best way to proceed here. They did mention that anything we do would, of course, not be binding, that the council pick it up if it needed to. But the reason I'm bringing this forward is, I mean, we've had this issue before the council 3 times. You've been in all 3, Alder Stoyer. I've been in 2. And that first time for me, I was actually did not know it had already been to council, and was pretty naive and ignorant of the whole issue. And if I had had something like this for guidance, I think I would have taken a much different approach my first time around. And so I think hopefully this will provide some guidance for council alders in the future. If this comes up again, it gives them some guidance.
Well, thank you for that. There's really not an immediate time sensitivity issue to this, is there? In your eyes?
I don't think so. I think it'll be a little bit before it comes back to us, but.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it will not, in my lifetime, well, maybe not mine, but hopefully it will not come back for some time. So I'm not going to go into detail on all of that. We've discussed it quite a bit. Attorney, I don't know, Bungert, were you working on this, or was this something? Who did you talk to all this time?
Actually, it was a month ago or so. I don't remember who all I spoke to or anything, and no one's really working on it. Oh,
okay, all right.
Okay.
It just
So I just had a discussion, and I figured I'd wait until we already went through council, and then I'd bring it forward, and we could really talk it over then. So I don't know if Lindsay.
Just to piggyback a little bit, Alder Scannell, I had been working with Attorney Mathers on an ordinance or a resolution, I should say. So I don't know. I mean, you get to the point where you're looking at an ordinance as being a little more definitive rather than a resolution.
I think I'd rather an ordinance, but I would defer to legal as to what they think is the best way to proceed.
Attorney Mather, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's been a while since I considered the resolution versus ordinance question. I think because it's a decision that's usually made by staff rather than council, like it's usually made by the water utility general manager. My preference or my suggestion would be that it be done by resolution, simply because we typically don't put directives specifically for staff in our ordinances as a general rule. But if that's your preference, is to create an ordinance to that effect, we can do that. Like, I think the important thing, like Alder Scannell mentioned, is that no matter which way you go, no matter how you broach this, it can always be undone by a future council. So whether it's an ordinance, it can be repealed. Whether it's a resolution, it can be repealed or amended, whatever. So it's in my opinion, it's kind of 6 to 1. I mean,
if it does, okay.
In terms of longevity purposes, neither one is going to have any more staying power than the other necessarily.
Well, that's good. And Alder, go ahead, Alder Scannell.
I did speak with our water utility manager on this, and she was okay with this. She felt comfortable with it, and she was actually kind of relieved about having something like this coming forward. I mean, she's had to deal with this 3 times now, and it's very, very unsettling, and it turns everybody's lives upside down who have to then, fluoride, they got to scramble to then everything's thrown out at us. So she's on board with something like this. So we could double check with her to see if she would prefer an ordinance or a resolution. We didn't really talk about it much that way. I did talk about an ordinance.
Right.
It's fine, but if like I said, like you said, there is really no rush on this. We can take our time.
Yeah. I'd like to share, like I said, I have a resolution that I was working on along with Lindsay. Maybe we could look at that, at anything else that's been added, and maybe we could come up with just an effective one. I guess basically the resolution I was looking at was keeping the status quo unless something came in that overturned it, whether it's the sign or the courts. So it's kind of an obvious type of thing that we'll stay status quo unless something else tells us differently. I don't know how you feel about that.
Well, that's what I think. I'm doing the same thing. I mean, if something's coming differently, that's our water utility manager and the Wisconsin Health Association, they'll be telling us. I mean, they're not going to be
Right.
sitting on their thumbs thinking, this is okay. If something's changed, they're going to want to be, they're responsible. They're care about people's health. They will be on top of it. So that's why I put that in there. That
I think my initial thought, I thought a resolution might work on this. I mean, that's just my thought. I don't know if you think an ordinance. I don't know if anybody else, any of the other council members have a feeling that way.
I'd like to chime in, Mark, when you're done.
Yes, go ahead, Alder. Go ahead.
Like all the discussions and things that we talked about, about fluoride, I think it's very healthy to have both sides be able to chime in when this comes forward the next time around, because there's going to be a lot of changes. I think that we should address it as our city council has in the past, and give the medical community on both sides, both the Wisconsin Dental Association and the people that do research, and our local dentists as well here in Green Bay. And some of them are starkly against fluoride and some in favor of it. I think it's very helpful as a, not just shove it in, on the shelf somewhere. I think it's wise to speak on both sides, even though we have to do a little bit of work. I think that's really our job we brought it forward. We discussed it. A lot of good discussion was brought forward. And I think that's healthy in government, not just,
I think,
say, yeah, we're going to put an ordinance in effect and then,
well, I think the
everything is kind of
resolution
shut down.
I think the resolution I was looking at was more or less saying that, well, we voted at council and the vote was to keep it in the water. So in essence, so with that being said, the resolution would more or less state something to the effect that status quo, we'll stay with what we have. The vote was such, and if the science or the courts deem something differently, then we'll change accordingly. So I don't see that being a problem.
Okay.
Anybody else? Well, Alder Scannell, I was just going to ask, is this something that you would consider referring back to staff?
Sure. And why don't we with that referral, have them check with our water utility manager and see if she'd prefer an ordinance or a resolution, and whatever she prefers, that's fine by me. Like as staff has said, either way, like it's can't be
Right,
addressed and changes made. So
you can do that, yes.
Yeah.
Alder,
So
okay.
I think if we go with the resolution, though, I'd like to add that it has to be with a three-quarters vote.
Okay.
Give it a
That
little.
would have to be, if we're going to change the voting rules, that would have to be done by ordinance.
Oh, well.
Because essentially you're requiring a different procedure for voting on this particular issue, which I don't know that I would start singling out issues like that, or that I would recommend doing that, simply because I think that has the potential to go down kind of a rabbit hole.
We do have it on other ordinances and issues where we've had to do a three-quarters vote. What's the difference between those?
I'm not familiar with them, and maybe it's just because I'm still relatively new at this. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to use that excuse, but
yeah, you're running out of time on that. You can't use that much.
Yeah.
But we have had a number of ordinances where, or I think even resolutions, they were three-quarters with the extending alcohol beyond Broadway on the west side. There's that. Is that a resolution or an ordinance? Do you remember?
No, the majority of the moratoriums are actually set by resolution.
Right.
And there isn't a three-quarter. There isn't a requirement to vote by 2/3 waiver for it's only, I think, for the moratorium set by ordinance. So if there, Lindsay is correct, that if there needs to be an approval threshold, that would need to be ordinance, because a resolution ultimately is discretionary. It's an obligation to be followed. A resolution is essentially a formal declaration by council as to certain conclusions, but it's not setting forth legislation that has to be followed.
Well, with that being said, either resolution or ordinance, I mean, we can always revisit it regardless.
Correct.
So that's not a big issue that way. Well, listen, okay. Committee, do you have anything to add? Any other alders want to chime in? Otherwise, I would, anybody have a motion that they'd like to make?
I'd like to make a motion to forward this to staff for further review.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Vanderleest. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed? Thank you, Alder Scannell, for bringing it up. Do you have any puns on the way out?
No, I'm kind of scatterbrained right now. I almost missed the meeting. Hey, it's been crazy. So I'm punned out. Sorry.
All right, we'll wait for another one, another time. So thanks for your input.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, liquor violation report.
Oh, yes.
Your
Lieutenant,
favorite Alderson.
it is my favorite.
We had no violations during this time.
What a beautiful city.
Yes.
Yes, thank
Motion to
you.
receive and place on file.
Okay, seconded by Stevens. So any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, all opposed? That passes unanimously, and
We are on to adjournment.
Joanne's wearing a Packer jersey. I don't know if anybody put that on the record yet.
what's that?
Joanne's wearing a Packer jersey. I don't know if we put that on the
Oh,
record.
brother.
Nice. It looks real nice. We like it.
You know,
I lost the bet. Lieutenant Mahoney and I had a friendly bet on the Bears
Oh.
Packers game. Obviously, I lost, so I'm paying the piper tonight.
you know what? You're a good
That's-
sport.
it's a
You're a
nice-
good sport.
It's a nice uniform.
Thank you.
All
It's
right,
not too bad. Not too
you're
bad.
fine. Thanks for everything. All right.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion to adjourn by Stevens. Do we have a second?
Second.
By Vanderleest. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for all your input, everybody. It was very good meeting. I'm gonna go eat chili and apple pie.
All right. Thank
Okay,
you.
good night.
Good night.
Good night.